Welcome to Book Summary Podcast, your gateway to personal transformation. Each episode delivers big ideas from the world's most impactful books on mindset, productivity, and success, all in just a few minutes. Ready to turn knowledge into action? Let's get started.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving headfirst into a topic that, well, it touches every single one of us. Money. But maybe not in the way you usually think about it, like all charts and complex math.
Right. We often think finance is purely mathematical, don't we? Numbers on a spreadsheet.
Exactly. But what if doing well with money has, little to do with how smart you are and a lot more to do with how you behave?
That's the core of it. We're talking about the psychology of money. It's really a game of human nature, just as much as it is about numbers.
And for this deep dive, we're digging into Chapter 19 of a really insightful book. The chapter's called All Together Now.
Yeah, it's a fantastic summary. It pulls together these core behavioral insights that often quietly just dramatically shape our financial lives.
So our goal here isn't to tell you what to do step by step.
No, not at all. It's more about arming you with a deeper understanding of why. Why you, and really everyone around you, makes the financial choices you do. It's about seeing those invisible patterns.
Right. You've shared these sources with us, and our mission, like always in these deep dives, is to pull out the most important nuggets, maybe some surprising facts, and give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed.
So you can make better financial decisions that genuinely serve your life, not just some, abstract ideal or what a spreadsheet says is optimal.
Okay, let's peel back the layers and get into it.
Yeah.
The human element in financial decisions. So where do we start? I think that foundational idea, the no one's crazy principle, really sets the stage.
It's right there from the beginning of the source material. People do some crazy things with money, but no one is crazy.
That really forces you to shift your perspective, doesn't it? Look beyond just the seemingly irrational action.
It really does. It's an invitation to be curious.
Right.
And this chapter, All Together Now, it really drives that point home. Every financial decision someone makes, no matter how, weird or illogical it looks from the outside, it makes sense to them in that moment because it's shaped by their unique stuff, their experiences, their history, their culture, values, fears.
Their whole life story, basically.
Exactly. Think about the huge differences. Someone who lived through the Great Depression versus, say, a tech worker in the 90s dot-com boom, or someone whose parents were super frugal immigrants versus someone raised with plenty.
They learn totally different lessons about risk, about saving, about what money even is.
Wildly different lessons. They experience luck and risk differently, too. So what seems crazy to one person, it's perfectly logical based on the lessons someone else learned.
It's, like you said, a financial fingerprint.
Yeah.
Unique to each person. What looks totally irrational, maybe, buying lottery tickets when you're struggling,
Right.
can be understandable if you see it from their angle.
Right.
We aren't born knowing about compound interest, right?
Yeah.
We learn this stuff, and it's often messy and emotional.
Exactly. And the lottery ticket example is a powerful one. I mean, Americans spend more on lottery tickets than on movies, games, music, sports, and books combined.
Wow. That's staggering.
And the lowest income households spend like 4 times more than the highest earners. It seems backwards, right? Especially when, something like 40% of Americans can't easily find $400 for an emergency.
Yet they might spend that much or more on lottery tickets over a year. From a purely rational economic view, it looks nuts.
Like completely nonsensical. But if you dig deeper, if you try to understand the why, for many people, that ticket isn't just a bet. It's the only tangible dream they feel they can afford.
Okay, so it's buying hope.
It's buying a sliver of hope, yeah. A moment to imagine a totally different life, even if it's just for a little while. It's not about the tiny odds. It's about paying for that feeling, that possibility. These aren't spreadsheet decisions.
They're made at the dinner table, shaped by personal history.
Ego, pride, sometimes just desperate hope. It's a clear case of behavior trumping cold logic.
That's such a crucial point about understanding human motivation, which, often flies in the face of textbook rationality. And it leads perfectly into this analogy about financial advice.
Yeah.
Comparing it to doctors and patients. Let's start with this pretty alarming story from 1931. A guy named Clarence Hughes goes to the dentist for a toothache, gets put under anesthesia, wakes up, and not only is the aching tooth gone, but 16 other teeth are gone too.
Yeah.
And his tonsils.
16 teeth and tonsils for a toothache.
Yeah. And tragically, he died a week later from complications. His wife sued, but get this. not for malpractice, but because he never consented to all that extra work.
Wow. That really throws the old medical thinking into sharp relief, doesn't it?
Totally. Historically, medicine kind of operated under this doctor knows best idea.
Deeply ingrained. Patients wanted to be cured, and the assumption was there's one universal and right way to do it.
And patient consent.
Yeah.
It just wasn't central like it is today. Doctors felt they had the authority and the obligation to decide what was best.
Not out of malice, usually, but from this sort of paternalistic conviction, we're the experts, we know the best path.
But that shifted dramatically.
Oh, absolutely. Over the last, say, 50 years, medical schools have moved towards treating patients, the whole person, not just the disease.
So, laying out options, explaining pros and cons.
And letting the patient decide. It's recognizing that people have wildly different views about what's worth it in medicine, about quality of life, about risk tolerance, longevity.
Respecting their autonomy, their values, not a one-size-fits-all cure.
Precisely, and the connection to financial advice here is so direct, it's fascinating.
How so?
Well, just like a doctor can't really decide your best medical path without knowing your values, your priorities, what risks you're willing to take.
Right.
We can't tell you, the listener, exactly what to do with your money. We don't know your specific goals, your timeline, your motivations, what keeps you up at night.
Because financial decisions are so deeply personal, tied to that unique financial fingerprint.
Exactly. They're not made in a vacuum.
That medical analogy is really effective. But I wonder, is there a danger that if we're not prescriptive, some people feel a bit lost? You know, finance can feel overwhelming, and sometimes you just want someone to tell you what to do.
That's a really fair point, a common tension. The goal isn't to leave anyone adrift, though. It's about empowerment.
Okay.
Think of it like a doctor explaining nutrition. They don't hand you a precise meal plan for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah, usually not.
But they give you the fundamental knowledge of the universal truths of healthy eating. What proteins do, why fiber is important, that kind of thing.
So you can make your own choices that fit your life.
Exactly. Choices that fit your lifestyle, your preferences, maybe allergies or ethical concerns. In finance, it's the same idea. We provide the fundamental principles like compounding or inflation or the role of behavior.
The building blocks.
Right. And then you get the tools to build a financial life that works for you. Checking the boxes you care about, optimizing for your happiness, your peace of mind. Not some external definition of rational.
It's about self-directed wisdom then, not just following orders.
You got it. 2. Core principles for better financial decisions.
Okay, that's a perfect segue into these core principles for making better financial decisions, grounded in that human element. Let's hit the first one. Embrace humility and forgiveness.
And this isn't just about being nice to yourself, although that's part of it.
It's more fundamental.
Yeah. It's understanding that financial outcomes, good or bad, are almost never just about you. The world is complex. Luck and risk play these huge, often invisible roles.
Right. Luck and risk, two sides of the same coin, really. Unpredictable forces.
Totally. And acknowledging them, really internalizing their impact on both success and failure, it gives you a much more balanced view.
How does that help practically?
Well, for one, it helps you focus on what you can actually control. Your saving rate, your patience, your reactions, instead of agonizing over market swings or, random events.
And maybe finding better role models.
Yeah.
Not just looking at the extreme outliers who might have had extreme luck.
Exactly. It combats that fundamental attribution error, where we assume someone's success or failure is purely down to their character or skill, and we ignore the situation, the context, the luck.
We have some really striking examples of this, don't we? Ronald Read.
Oh, yeah, the janitor philanthropist. Amazing story.
Fixed cars, swept floors, lived modestly, saved consistently.
Invested in blue-chip stocks, just steadily.
And died with an $8 million fortune, left mostly to charity. His success wasn't high income or fancy degrees.
Nope, just patience. Consistent behavior over decades. That was it.
Now contrast that with Richard Fusco.
Right. The opposite end of the spectrum, almost.
Right.
Harvard-educated, high-flying Merrill Lynch exec.
Praised for his financial savvy, retired young, a millionaire.
But then greed, impatience. Got heavily leveraged in the dot-com crash, then again in the housing crisis.
And ended up broke. Despite all the advantages, the education, the experience.
It just highlights that financial success is often less about technical skill and more about temperament. Behavior, soft skills.
Then there's the Bill Gates versus Ken Evans story.
Ah, yeah. Powerful illustration of luck and risk. Gates incredibly smart, hardworking, no doubt, but also had what the author calls 1 in a million luck.
Attending Lakeside School in 1968.
Yeah, a school that had an advanced computer when most universities didn't. He got near unlimited access from age 13. Huge advantage.
Yeah, his friend, Kent Evans.
Equally smart, ambitious, talented. They were best friends, planning big things together.
But he experienced the flip side. 1 in a million risk.
Tragically died in a mountaineering accident before they even graduated high school. Same force luck risk, just pointing in opposite directions.
So the takeaway for you listening is be careful. Don't assume 100% of any outcome, yours or someone else's, is just down to effort or smarts.
Right. It fosters a more balanced, more forgiving view. Respect the complexity, the randomness. It lets you off the hook for stuff truly out of your control and helps you focus on learning from what is in your control.
Make total sense. Okay, principle number 2. This one's a real eye-opener, I think, because it challenges how we usually think about wealth and status. Less ego, more wealth.
The core idea being that real wealth is mostly what you don't see. It's that gap between your ego, your desire to show off, and your actual income.
It kind of runs counter to our instincts, right? We see fancy things, we assume wealth.
Totally. The source talks about the man in the car paradox. You see someone in a really expensive car.
Your first thought isn't usually, wow, that driver's cool.
Right. It's almost always, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. We're projecting our own desire for admiration.
So the person spending the money might not even be getting the admiration they're seeking.
Often they're not. It's a fundamental miscalculation of human psychology.
I remember this so clearly from working as a valet in college. This one guy, Roger, drove a brand new Porsche one day.
Nice.
Then literally the next day, he's in this beat-up old Honda Civic. Why? The Porsche got repossessed.
Ouch. A very visible disconnect between appearance and reality.
Exactly. His display of richness was just a mask.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that blunt quote from Rihanna's ex-accountant.
Yeah.
After she apparently almost went bankrupt from overspending, he supposedly asked, was it really necessary to tell her that if you spend money on things, you will end up with the things and not the money?
Chuckles. It sounds so obvious when you put it like that.
It does.
Yeah.
But clearly, lots of people confuse spending money with having money. They're completely different.
It's a crucial distinction, one that trips up people with high incomes too. We need to be clear. Rich versus wealthy.
Okay, break that down.
Rich is often visible. It's current income, it's spending, it's consumption, the fancy car, the big house. Easily spotted.
Okay. And wealthy.
Wealthy is hidden. It's income not spent. It's financial assets, stocks, bonds, businesses that haven't been turned into visible stuff yet. It represents options, flexibility, future growth. It's the unspent money.
Like investor Bill Mann said, there is no faster way to feel rich than to spend lots of money on really nice things. But the way to be rich is to spend money you have, and to not spend money you don't have.
Exactly. The only path to wealth is consistently not spending everything you make, creating and growing that gap.
So the actionable insight for us, for you listening, is your ability to save. It's actually much more in your control than you might think.
Right. It's less about boosting income sometimes and more about managing that gap, suppressing the urge for immediate gratification.
And maybe caring a little less about what other people think of your stuff.
That's a huge part of it. Cultivating that quiet confidence, that internal validation, instead of constantly seeking it through external displays. Less ego.
Which ties into our third principle, bringing it back to personal context, optimize for sleep at night.
The idea here isn't to be coldly rational, like a perfect economic robot.
Which nobody is.
Right. The goal is to be reasonable, which is more realistic, more human, and way more sustainable over the long haul.
Okay, rational versus reasonable. Why is that distinction so important?
Because academic finance often pushes for these mathematically optimal strategies, assuming perfect rationality, but real life is messy. Emotions, biases, individual circumstances, they're always there.
Like Harry Markowitz, the guy who won a Nobel Prize for portfolio theory.
Exactly. He created these incredibly complex models for optimizing risk and return. But when asked how he invested his own money back in the 50s...
He didn't use his own formulas.
Nope. He just split it 50-50. Stocks and bonds. Why? His words. To minimize future regret.
Not to maximize returns, but for psychological comfort.
Precisely. It was reasonable for him even if it wasn't mathematically optimal on paper. It let him sleep at night.
That's powerful. Personal comfort trumping pure logic. And then there's that Yale study.
Oh yeah, the one proposing young savers use 2-to-1 margin on stocks.
Right. Leveraged investing early on, then tapering off.
Right.
Mathematically, maybe it showed the highest expected return on paper.
But the implication was wild. It basically assumed you'd keep investing exactly the same way, even if your portfolio went down like 100%.
Right.
Wiped out completely.
Which is, yeah, absurdly unreasonable, as the source says.
Who does that? Seriously. If your retirement account vaporized, would you just shrug and keep doing the same thing?
No way. You'd freak out. You'd quit. You'd maybe sue somebody.
Exactly. The math works in a vacuum, but ignores the human element completely. So the best guidepost for your financial decisions often boils down to, does this plan help me sleep at night?
Your plan has to survive your emotions, your stress, life's curveballs, not just look good on a spreadsheet.
Absolutely. And if you genuinely like your strategy, even if it's technically imperfect, if that love helps you stick with it through the inevitable tough times,
Then that irrationality actually becomes an advantage.
a huge advantage, because commitment over time is what makes compounding work its magic. Sticking with it is key.
That's really liberating. It means finding what fits you, not just chasing the perfect strategy that you might abandon at the first sign of trouble. Okay, next principle, this one. It's arguably the most important force in investing, but maybe the most underestimated. Extend your time horizon.
Oh, absolutely. Time. It's the magic ingredient. It lets compounding do its thing, turning small amounts into large ones.
And it smooths out the bumps, right? Makes big mistakes or market crashes seem smaller in the rearview mirror.
Exactly. Compounding is like the eighth wonder of the world, but it's so counterintuitive. Our brains think linearly, but compounding is exponential. It sneaks up on you.
Look at Warren Buffett. There are thousands of books about him,
Right. Analyzing his genius, his strategy.
but few focus on the simplest fact. He's been a good investor since he was basically a kid.
Literally a child.
Yeah.
His incredible success, yes, he's brilliant, but it's overwhelmingly due to 70-plus years of uninterrupted compounding.
Contrast that with Jim Simons at Renaissance Technologies.
Yeah, amazing story. Simon's achieved, 66% annual return since 1988? Like 3 times Buffett's average rate. Phenomenal.
But he started later in life.
Much later. So despite those superior returns, he's apparently 75% less rich than Buffett. Why? Less than half the time to compound.
Wow, so it's not just the rate of return, it's the duration, the shut up and wait principle.
You nailed it. Finding pretty good returns that you can stick with for the longest possible time, that's the real engine. Duration matters immensely.
And the flip side is impatience,
Oh
which can be absolutely devastating.
yeah. The source mentions figures like Jesse Livermore, Abraham Germansky, legendary traders who got incredibly wealthy.
But couldn't hold on to it. Bad at staying wealthy, lost it all.
Then there's Rick Guerin, Buffett and Munger's early partner, supposedly just as smart as them.
Right.
In a hurry. He got heavily leveraged with margin loans. Market took a dive in the 70s. He got a margin call.
Forced to sell his Berkshire stock.
Yep.
To Buffett.
Yep. At rock bottom prices. And basically vanished from the scene. His impatience, his inability to just wait it out cost him unimaginable wealth.
That's a harsh lesson. Getting wealthy is one thing, staying wealthy is another.
It often comes down to frugality and a healthy dose of paranoia, the source suggests. The ability to stick around long-term without getting wiped out or forced to abandon your strategy. That's what makes the biggest difference.
Longevity is the key to compounding.
It really is. So for you listening, prioritize survival. Avoid those ruinous decisions that take you out of the game. Give your investments years, decades. Understand that compounding needs time.
Which often means having enough buffer, enough cash, not just for opportunities, but to ride out the storms without being forced to sell.
That's the ultimate financial superpower, maybe. Staying power.
Okay, principle number 5. This one feels a bit paradoxical, almost freeing, except that many things will go wrong. How can embracing failure be a key to success?
It sounds backwards, doesn't it? But it's a brilliant insight. The core idea is you can actually be wrong a lot, maybe even most of the time, and still end up doing incredibly well financially.
How does that work?
Because outcomes aren't evenly distributed. A small number of events, tail events, account for the vast majority of the results.
Like the baseball player analogy. Strikes out most of the time, but the few hits are game-winning home runs.
Exactly like that. Most swings are misses or singles, but the few massive hits define the success.
And this isn't just a fluke, it's how success often works.
Across so many fields, yeah. Think about art dealing. Heinz Bergeron, the famous dealer. He probably bought tons of art. 99% maybe didn't amount to much.
But the 1%.
The Picassos, the Matisses, they made his entire fortune. Tail events.
Oh, Walt Disney.
Right. Hundreds of cartoons, many beloved, but maybe lost money or broke even. Then comes Snow White.
Changes everything. pays off all the debt, transforms the studio.
That one film was the tail event that carried everything else.
And this applies even in more analytical areas like investing.
Absolutely. Venture capital is the classic example. Studies show something like 65% of VC investments lose money.
Wow, most lose money.
Yeah. But a tiny fraction, maybe 0.5%, like 100 companies out of 21,000 in one study generated 50x returns or more. Those few huge winners drive almost all the industry's profits.
It's not just startups either, right? Even the broad stock market.
Same pattern. Research on the Russell 3000 index from 1980 to 2014. Get this. 40% of the companies in the index lost at least 70% of their value, basically catastrophic failures.
40%, yet the index overall did great.
Grew 73-fold. How wow. Because just 7% of the companies, the Amazons, the Apples, accounted for effectively all those gains. The tails wag the dog.
This must apply to investor behavior too, like Napoleon's definition of a military genius.
The man who can do the average thing when all those around him are going crazy, yeah, that fits investing perfectly.
Sometimes the smartest move is just staying calm, doing nothing.
Exactly. That Sue, Jim, Tom experiment illustrates it well. Investing $1 a month from 1900 to 2019, Sue just invests consistently, month after month.
Jim and Tom try to time the market, sell during recessions, maybe buy back too late.
Right. And Sue ends up with way more money, almost 3/4 more. Her genius was just staying calm and consistent, especially during those times the economy was rough, which was about 22% of the time. She just did the average thing while others panicked.
So the lesson is, embrace failure, or at least accept that lots of things won't work out.
Yeah, see it as part of the process. It's inevitable. Peter Lynch, the legendary fund manager, said, if you're terrific in this business, you're right 6 times out of 10.
Not 10 out of 10, 6. Even for the best.
Right. Think of Jeff Bezos talking about the Amazon Fire Phone failure. He basically said, if you think that's a big failure, we're working on much bigger failures right now.
Because big success requires big swings, which means big misses too.
Exactly. Reed Hastings at Netflix pushes his teams to take more risks, have a higher cancellation rate, to find the next big hit. Chris Rock tests hundreds of jokes in small clubs
to find the few tail event jokes that make it into his specials.
It's a filtering process, sifting through tons of stuff to find the few gems.
Even Buffett and Munger admit this.
Buffett owned maybe 400, 500 stocks over his career, but made most of his money on just 10. Munger said if you remove just a few of Berkshire's top investments, its long-term record is pretty average.
So for you listening, don't get discouraged by individual losses or investments that don't pan out. It's normal. Focus on the overall portfolio.
And be comfortable with the fact that many things just won't work. As George Soros said, it's not about being right or wrong. It's how much you make when you're right and how much you lose when you're wrong. Let your winners run, accept the losers.
That's incredibly freeing, actually. Takes the pressure off needing every single decision to be perfect. Okay, principle number 6. This one resonates so much, especially today. Leverage money for time control.
This might be the most profound value of money, ultimately.
The idea that its greatest intrinsic value, the highest dividend it pays, is giving you control over your time.
The freedom to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want.
And this isn't just a nice feeling, it's backed by psychology.
Yeah, deep research. Psychologist Angus Campbell found that having a strong sense of controlling your life is a more dependable predictor of well-being than objective things like salary, house size, job title.
Wow. More important than how much you make or how fancy your job is.
That feeling of autonomy, of control. Money, in this light, isn't just for buying stuff. It's a tool to buy back your time, your most precious, non-renewable asset. It buys flexibility, options.
I totally get this from personal experience. I did an investment banking internship way back.
Okay. High pressure.
Oh, yeah. And intellectually, I actually kind of like the work, the problem solving. But the hours, uncontrollable, brutal.
No control over your schedule?
None. Going home before midnight felt like a win. My time was completely dictated by deals, by bosses. It made work I liked feel absolutely miserable.
That's reactance, right? Psychologists talk about how we hate feeling like choices are made for us, even if it's something we might otherwise enjoy.
Exactly. Doing something you love can feel like something you hate if you have no control over it.
And Derek Sivers' story captures this perfectly, too.
The musician.
Yeah. At 22, he saved up $12,000. That was enough, he figured, to quit his $20K a year day job and go full-time as a musician, living on maybe $1,000 a month.
So that $12,000 was his ticket out.
He said that was the moment he felt rich. Not later when he sold his company for millions. That first $12K bought him freedom, control over his time. That was priceless.
It's such a contrast to modern life, isn't it? Objectively, many of us are richer than past generations. Median income up, houses bigger.
Materially better off, yeah.
But surveys show Americans are among the most stressed, most worried people globally. Why?
Part of it might be the nature of work. More thinking jobs mean our brains are always on, always connected, emails, notifications.
Feels like you're working 24/7. Less control over your mental time, even if you leave the office.
It's a wealth paradox. More money, less perceived control, maybe less happiness.
And the wisdom from older generations confirms this focus on time and connection.
Consistently. Carl Pillemer interviewed 1,000 elderly Americans for their life lessons. Not one said happiness came from working harder for more money or being richer than their neighbors.
What did they value?
Friendships, purpose, and quality unstructured time with their kids. One quote was just heart-stopping. Your kids don't want your money anywhere near as much as they want you. Specifically, they want you with them.
Wow. That hits hard.
So the message for you, listening, is powerful. Actively use your money to buy back your time to create options. That, the source argues, pays the highest dividend in finance. A well-being dividend.
A dividend that compounds in happiness, not just dollars. Profound. Okay, number 7. A simple but maybe challenging one in our culture. Cultivate kindness over flashiness.
The core idea. Nobody is as impressed with your stuff as you are.
Laughs. Okay, say more about that.
True respect, real admiration. It's earned through humility, kindness, empathy, not through horsepower or chrome bumpers.
And comes back to that man in the car paradox again.
Exactly. You see the fancy car, you admire the car, maybe you imagine yourself in it. You're probably not thinking much about the driver at all.
So the driver, who might be spending all that money partly for admiration,
isn't really getting it for themselves. They're just making people admire an object or envy it. It's a misdirection.
My valet experience totally confirmed that. I saw amazing cars every day. I admired the cars, the engineering, the design. I imagined driving them. I barely registered the drivers most of the time.
See, it's a common blind spot. And the source quotes this letter someone wrote to their son, basically saying, what you want is respect and admiration. And you think having expensive stuff will bring it. It almost never does, especially from the people you really want to respect and admire you.
Oof, that's direct.
It is, and it applies to everything: houses, clothes, jewelry. We think material things signal worth, signal status, and will earn us respect.
But if respect and admiration are the real goals,
then maybe think about how you're trying to get them. Humility, kindness, empathy, just being a decent human being. That's far more likely to earn you genuine, lasting respect than any flashy purchase.
Those are human qualities that build real connection. Objects don't.
Exactly. The external stuff is just a facade. True respect comes from something deeper.
A good reminder, especially when we're constantly bombarded with images linking possessions to status. Internal values matter more. All right, principle number 8. This one feels wonderfully flexible, maybe even a relief. Save without a specific goal.
Yeah, this challenges the usual advice, doesn't it? Where every saved dollar needs a label, retirement, house down payment, vacation.
Right. But this principle says saving just because. For the unknown. That's actually a great reason.
One of the best reasons, the source argues, because life is just a continuous chain of surprises.
You can't predict everything.
Not even close. So savings without a specific goal act as this crucial buffer, this hedge against life's inevitable ability to surprise the hell out of you at the worst possible moment.
I love the analogy the source uses, the German tanks in World War II.
Oh, the field mice. Yeah, it's brilliant. These formidable tanks, seemingly unstoppable, defeated at Stalingrad partly by
field mice.
Yeah.
Eating the electrical insulation inside the tanks. Something completely unpredictable. An unknown unknown.
Exactly. No battle plan accounted for mice. And undefined savings. They're your protection against the financial field mice. Those unexpected job losses, medical bills, broken furnaces that no specific plan could ever fully anticipate.
It underscores that saying. The most important part of every plan is planning on your plan, not going according to plan.
You absolutely have to build in that flexibility for the unexpected.
And this flexibility, just because savings, it has hidden returns, doesn't it? even if the cash isn't earning much interest.
Huge hidden returns. Savings, even at 0% interest, provide extraordinary value through optionality.
Like what?
The flexibility to maybe take a lower-paying job that feels more meaningful, or the ability to wait for great investment opportunities when everyone else is panicking and selling cheap.
Or crucially, just avoiding being forced to sell your investments at the worst possible time because you need cash for an emergency.
That alone can be worth far more than any interest earned. It protects your long-term plan, it buys you resilience.
So the takeaway for you listening: cultivate a solid savings rate, not just for specific goals, but for general flexibility, for peace of mind. Create that buffer.
That margin of safety, it lets you adapt. And adaptability is incredibly valuable in a world that's always changing. It's like financial self-care.
Okay, number 9. This one really challenges how we think about investment returns. Acknowledge and pay the fees of success.
Nothing worthwhile is free, right? Especially not significant investment returns. They come with a price tag.
But it's not just the obvious fees, like management fees or trading costs.
No, those are the easy part. The real price, the often invisible price you only feel when you're in it, is emotional. It's volatility, fear, doubt, uncertainty, and regret.
Oof. Yeah, those are hard.
They're easy to ignore when you look at a historical chart showing a nice upward slope over 30 years, but living through the dips, the crashes, the periods where you feel like an idiot for holding on, that's the price.
It's like that quote from former GE CEO Jeff Immelt. Every job looks easy when you're not the one doing it.
Exactly. Outsiders don't see the pressure, the stress, the tough decisions. Investing looks easy in hindsight.
We see the long-term returns, like the Dow averaging 11% a year from 1950 to 2019. Fantastic.
Sounds great. Sign me up.
But the price for that return was enduring dreadfully high volatility. The market was actually below its previous all-time high, something like 95% of the time during that period.
Think about that. Most of the time, you felt like you were losing or just getting back to even. Even for amazing stocks like Netflix or Monster Beverage, huge winners long-term.
But they had massive drawdowns along the way, dropped 50%, 60% or more from their peaks multiple times.
Absolutely. You had to have the stomach to hold through those terrifying drops to get the eventual reward. That was the price.
And the danger is trying to avoid paying that price, trying to get the reward without the risk.
That's where investors often get into trouble. They end up paying double. Think about tactical mutual funds trying to time the market.
Get the gains without the volatility.
They mostly fail. They often underperform or end up just as volatile anyway, or individual investors who jump in and out trying to dodge downturns.
They almost always do worse than just buying and holding.
Consistently. And even at the corporate level, look at Jack Welch at GE, famously smoothing earnings for years to present this image of steady, predictable growth.
Avoiding the price of normal business cycles and market fluctuations.
Right. But eventually the bill came due. The underlying reality caught up, leading to massive problems and losses for GE shareholders later on. You can't cheat the price forever.
This leads to that critical mindset shift, seeing volatility as a fee, not a fine.
Absolutely pivotal. A fine is a penalty, something you did wrong, something to avoid. Your instinct is to stop doing whatever caused the fine.
So if the market drops and you see it as a fine, you sell to avoid more fines.
Exactly. Locking in losses. But a fee? That's different. It's the cost of admission, like buying a ticket to Disneyland. You pay it willingly because you expect the experience, the potential reward, to be worth it.
So if you see market volatility as the fee you pay for the potential long-term gains,
you're much more likely to accept it, endure it, and stick with your plan. You understand it's just the cost of playing the game.
So for you listening, define the cost of your goals, including these emotional costs, and be ready, be willing to pay them. That's essential.
You have to be willing to pay the fee for the ride.
Okay, our 10th and final principle for today. This loops back nicely to self-awareness. Understand your game.
Identify the financial game you are playing, and crucially, don't get sucked into playing someone else's game.
Why is that so important?
Because the whole idea that an asset has one single rational price is mostly fiction.
Really? But we hear about fair value all the time.
Sure, but rational depends entirely on the player. Investors have vastly different goals, time horizons, risk tolerances, the smart price for Google stocks, say.
Depends if you're holding for 30 years or 1 year or just today.
Exactly. A long-term investor looking for decades of growth sees value differently than a day trader just trying to scalp a few points before lunch. They're playing different games with different rules and different definitions of value.
And when people forget their own game and start playing someone else's, that's when bubbles happen.
Often, yeah. Think dot-com bubble or the mid-2000s housing bubble. What often happens is long-term investors, people who should be focused on fundamentals, start taking their cues from short-term traders who are just riding momentum.
So momentum builds, attracts more short-term players.
Everyone's time horizon shrinks, prices get totally detached from long-term reality. Back in the dot-com days, maybe paying a ridiculous price for Yahoo made sense for a day trader if they thought it would go up a bit more that day.
But for a long-term investor, buying at that same price.
They were playing the wrong game, a losing game. Same with housing flippers in the mid-2000s. They only cared about next month's price, not long-term affordability or rental value.
They were playing a short-term flipping game, but it inflated the whole market for long-term homeowners.
Precisely. And it's not just investing. Think about consumer spending. So much of it is driven by social comparison.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. We see what others spend on cars, houses, vacations. But we don't see their income, their debt, their motivations, their game.
Like the young lawyer who feels they need the expensive suit for work?
They're playing a game of professional image. That's different from, say, a writer who works from home in sweatpants. If the writer tries to match the lawyer's spending just because they see it.
They're playing the wrong game for their own situation. Leads to stress, debt.
Right. So the actionable advice here is powerful. Create a clear financial mission statement for yourself.
Not just for companies.
Yeah.
For individuals.
Yeah, as a personal anchor. I am a passive investor, optimistic about long-term global growth, and I'm confident that over the next 30 years, that growth will benefit my investments. Something clear like that.
How does that help?
It helps you filter the noise, resist chasing fads or getting swayed by what people playing different games are doing. It keeps you focused on your path.
And it helps you respect the mess, right? Except that smart people can disagree about finance because they're playing different games.
Exactly. There's no single right answer for everyone, only what works for you and your game.
That's a really grounding way to finish these principles. Stay focused on your own journey. 3. Introducing Chapter 20, Confessions. Wow. We have covered a lot of ground today. These psychological principles are incredibly powerful for understanding financial behavior, our own and others.
They really provide a framework, don't they? But the question becomes, how does this all actually look in practice, in the messy reality of someone's actual financial life?
Right. Theory is one thing, real life is another.
And that's exactly where we're heading next time. We'll be diving into Chapter 20, which is called Confessions.
Confessions. Sounds intriguing.
It is. The author gets intensely personal, sharing their own family's specific approach to saving, spending, investing, showing how they apply or sometimes deliberately choose not to apply these very principles we've discussed.
So it's putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak.
Exactly. It reminds me of that billionaire investor, Sandy Gottsman. When he interviews people, he doesn't ask for market forecasts.
What does he ask?
He asks, what do you own and why? Simple, but profound. It cuts through the talk and gets to actual conviction. What do you do with your own money?
It highlights that gap between what people say or advise and what they actually practice themselves.
It's like the doctor's dilemma again. Studies show doctors often choose less aggressive end-of-life care for themselves than they might recommend for patients.
Because when it's personal, when your own values and fears are involved,
there isn't always one single rational answer. There's just what feels right, what works for you, what aligns with your deepest priorities, even if it bucks conventional wisdom.
So next time, we'll get some really candid insights, like why the author's family prioritizes financial independence over maybe maximizing every last return.
Yeah, and why they own their house outright, even though on paper it might look like a bad financial decision because they could earn more investing the equity.
How they handle surprises, why they shifted from picking individual stocks to simple index funds.
It's a fantastic real-world testament to finding what helps you sleep at night, even if it looks different from the textbook, making peace of mind the ultimate goal.
I'm really looking forward to digging into those confessions.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great follow-up. Outro.
So recapping today's deep dive into Chapter 19 all together now, we've distilled a whole host of psychological insights, embracing humility and forgiveness,
cultivating less ego for more actual wealth,
optimizing for sleeping well at night, not just rationality,
extending your time horizon, letting compounding work,
accepting that many things will go wrong and that's okay,
leveraging money to gain control over your time,
cultivating kindness over flashiness,
saving without needing a specific goal for every dollar,
acknowledging and being willing to pay the inevitable fees of success,
and, crucially, understanding and sticking to your own game.
These aren't just abstract concepts. They're practical tools for you to navigate your financial world with, hopefully, more clarity, more confidence, maybe more peace.
The goal isn't perfection. That's impossible. It's about progress, moving towards a financial life that truly aligns with your values, protects your well-being, and brings you that sense of calm.
So as you think about everything we've discussed today, here's a final thought to ponder. What aspect of your financial life truly brings you peace of mind right now? And how could you lean into that even more, maybe by letting go of some external should or some purely rational strategy that just doesn't feel right for you?
That's a great question. Deeply personal. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We look forward to exploring more of these fascinating insights with you next time when we get into those confessions.
Thanks for tuning in to the Book Summary Podcast. If you found value in today's episode, hit that like button, subscribe for more summaries, and share it with someone who's ready to grow. Want deeper insights, exclusive book notes, and reading tips? Join our free newsletter. The link's in the description. And don't forget, if you'd like to read the full book, our affiliate link is right below. It helps support the channel and keeps the summaries coming. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing.